Hi, I'm Zhenia Melnyk and this is United 24 Media. One person was killed and 10 were injured as Russian forces launched a massive missile and drone attack on the city of Odesa on Thursday evening. According to the head of the regional military administration, a 9-year-old boy is among the wounded. As a result of the attack, a residential building in the city center was destroyed. Central heating pipes, which service more than 200 residential buildings, 7 kindergartens, 4 schools and a maternity hospital, were also damaged. Another target of the Russian strikes was the port area, reported President Zelensky. In the early hours of November 15, drones struck the Kursk military air base in Russia's Krasnodar region. This was reported by the head of the Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation, Andriy Kovalenko. The attack was confirmed by the Russian Ministry of Defense, which stated that Russian air defenses intercepted and downed 51 UAVs, 36 of which were shot down over the Krasnodar region. In addition, 3 drones were said to have been downed over temporarily occupied Crimea, 2 over the Belgorod region and 10 over the Sea of Azov. The head of the Kursk district, however, claimed that 46 drones had been shot down in the area, later deleting his statement. To follow the latest news from Ukraine, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment down below. North Korean M1989 Kursk and howitzers have been spotted in Russia. On November 14, Russian military bloggers shared unverified images of the 170mm North Korean self-propelled howitzers being towed to west, presumably to the Ukrainian front line. According to Forbes, this means that Pyongyang is not only supporting Russia with thousands of troops, but also with artillery. The Kursk, known locally as Chuchya-Po, has been in operation since the end of the 70s. It features a 170mm caliber gun able to shoot both high-explosive and fragmentation projectile warheads at a range of 40 kilometers, reaching up to 60 with a booster ordnance. Earlier, South Korean 155mm self-propelled howitzers were delivered to Poland on Wednesday. The General Staff of the Polish Armed Forces published images of the K9 Thunder shipment arriving at the port. The High Command noted that this is another step towards the modernization of the Polish Armed Forces and an upgrade of the country's defense capabilities. The Ukrainian of Kyiv Brigade is preparing to come back home after more than 2 months of grueling French training, reported the Associated Press on November 14. The French-led training task force, codenamed Champagne, has noted that the soldiers have improved a lot since they arrived in the Grand Est region back in September.
It's quite impressive, the speed with which they have improved. Now they are able to fight, they are able to maneuver, they are able to use the different specialists and to use the different equipment that we have on the battlefield.
The French military says the brigade's arsenal will include 18 AMX-10 light tanks, 18 truck-mounted Caesar howitzers, 128 armored personnel carriers, anti-tank and anti-aircraft missile systems, plus other weaponry and equipment that the Ukrainian soldiers are training to operate.
French instructors have prepared this training to the highest level. The level of French soldiers is very high, and I think that after this training my soldiers will be trained at a high level in order to go to combat and will be very efficient on the battlefield.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte expressed confidence that President-elect Donald Trump would do everything necessary to defend the US, including remaining in the alliance and supporting Ukraine. In a joint press conference with Latvian President Rinkēvičs at the Odesa military base in Latvia, Rutte said that Trump is aware that membership in NATO is vital to US security, especially given Russia's growing alliances with China, Iran and North Korea. These alliances pose a threat not only to Ukraine and the rest of the European continent, but also to the Middle East, Japan, South Korea and, inevitably, the US.
So Russia, China, North Korea, Iran working together. The US understands this, that NATO is there not only to defend Europe and the US, but also to work together to make sure that the Indo-Pacific and the transatlantic stay safe. And I look forward to work with Donald Trump. I had a good phone call with him last week. We have worked as friends when I was Prime Minister. We will do so again when he becomes the new President of the US.
In addition, Rutte called for increased defense spending and production across the alliance to ensure its ability to defend itself. He also stressed Ukraine's need for aid such as air defense systems to safeguard its power grid and other critical infrastructure from Russian strikes this coming winter. Meanwhile, President Rinkēvičs announced that Latvia will allocate approximately 112 million euros to Ukraine in 2024. This amount counts for 0.25% of its GDP, which the Latvian government has been supplying as aid since April of this year, and will continue to do so over the next 2 years. Rinkēvičs also called on allies to increase their defense and security budget, warning that Russia will not stop at Ukraine.
It is important that we have to provide to Ukraine everything it needs right now, and Ukraine has the right to use everything they obtain to use on the battlefield without any restrictions.
The European Commission has made a historic decision to fund 5 large-scale joint weapons procurement projects, allocating 60 million euros to each. This was announced on November 14. Through this initiative, Brussels plans to acquire defense equipment for EU member states' armed forces with an overall budget exceeding 11 billion euros. The EC noted that most selected projects also include procurement of defense products intended for Ukraine, including air and missile defense systems and ammunition, bolstering the country's defense against the ongoing Russian aggression. In the first 100 days of the Kursk operation, Russian forces used more than 3,000 guided aerial bombs on its territory, destroying settlements and killing their own civilians. This was reported by the Operational Command North of the Ukrainian Ground Forces. On their official Telegram channel, Ukrainian defenders reported that throughout the 100 days, Russians fired on their own Kursk region more than 11,500 times, causing over 50,000 explosions. In addition to guided aerial bombs, they also used unguided missiles, UAVs and FPVs. A Ukrainian award ceremony dedicated to service dogs was held in Kyiv on November 14. Nominations included the most distinguished dog fighters and working dogs in the armed forces of Ukraine, as well as in the civilian sector. One brave canine awarded for its service was DIU German Shepherd Detector Boy. In the civilian category, the female Belgian Shepherd Dasha and her railroad employee owner Tetiana were awarded for successfully sniffing out and safely disposing of an explosive package left unattended on a train. This marks the third in a series of K9 award ceremonies recognizing service dogs' contributions to military, police and civilian ways of life in Ukraine. This is it for today. We are United 24 Media. Thank you for being with us and see you next week.